Hello everyone, thank you for checking out today's video. In this video I'm going to be covering real interview questions that I've been asked while I was applying to be an IT support technician as well as a programmer slash software developer. So in this episode I'll be focusing primarily on the IT, just like the general IT, like help desk, system technician type questions, but in the next video I'll actually be covering programming questions that I received as well. So what I have open right now is I have a Quizlet that I made. So I know when some people are in interviews, you kind of get a little bit nervous and you stumble over some of the questions that are asked. So what I did is I created a series of questions that I was asked in interviews. So every time I did an interview and I was like, I don't feel like I answered that question very well, I went ahead and made a Quizlet flashcard, and I didn't put things on there to follow verbatim, but what I wanted to do is I wanted to add, as my phone goes off, different talking points so that while I'm going through interviews, and if that question's asked again, I'm like, oh yeah, I studied for that. I know what talking points I want to bring up for that particular question. So as I mentioned, I do have open right now a Quizlet that I made years ago, and I can make this public to you guys if you want to check it out. But what I'll do is I'll run through these. So we have 52 questions. I'll go through them pretty quickly. Some of them I'll probably skip. And what I'll do is I'll show you what I had for my answer, just to give you guys an idea of how you should be able to frame your answers to these questions. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with some general questions that are usually asked, questions about yourself. So tell us about yourself. So what I put is just talking points. I was born in Las Vegas. This is old because I already finished my master's. This is from years ago. But yeah, I had mentioned that I had just finished my bachelor's at the time. I had an associate's. So I was about to start my master's. Why I wanted to start my master's and my plans to go ahead and further grow into my career. So that one is going to be, pretty individualized, but hopefully this gives you guys a good place to start. Why do you want to work for this company? So for me, I was applying to a lot of public sector positions. So I ended up working for the local government. That's where I still work now. So I thought this was something good to keep in mind. So contributing to important service in the community I grew up in, and I did my own research. I did my research about this company on sites like Glassdoor and ZipRecruiter, and people that worked there had very nice things to say about working there. And say you're working for a nonprofit, say you really believe in the cause. One thing that I wish I would have done better is I actually had an interview with I don't know if I should say who it was with, but it was one of the public service agencies out here. And I didn't even know I applied for them. I guess they were, my application somehow made its way to them. And the first question that they asked me in the interview is, what do you know about such and such? So what do you know about this public service agency? And I was like, I didn't know what to say. I had like a general idea of what they did, but they actually covered that in the intro to the interview. So I was just kind of rambling about nonsense. So make sure when you apply for positions that you know something about the company, because they're probably going to ask you, why do you want to work for this company? Now, if it's a public sector position, or maybe you're applying to a police department, that's pretty easy. But if it's a private company, like maybe Comcast or HBO or Google, you want to have reasons why, good reasons why you want to work for that company. So probably know their core values and mission statement. Why should we select you for this position? So, here's some of the things that I put down. Deeply passionate about working in IT and helping people. Well-versed in troubleshooting hardware and software problems. Constantly looking to build upon my knowledge when it comes to information technology. And commit myself daily. So, just talking points that I'm committed to continued education. I love being able to help people. I'm passionate about the work. I like being able to troubleshoot problems. Things like that. What is your greatest strength? So willingness to learn and be adaptable to any work environment. So it shows that even if you don't know everything that they need you to know when you first start the position, that you're willing to learn. And, you're not afraid to ask questions. So you're not afraid to ask questions if you're not sure what you're doing, so that you just don't sit there and waste everyone's time. Describe your dream job. So dream job would involve a job that is exciting, challenges me, and allows me the opportunity to grow and progress within that company. Talk about the work environment. Talk about a work environment where the people are accommodating and you're able to learn from each other and help each other. What is your leadership style? So I basically said what I would look for, what I would want a leader to be like. So if I were to build my own supervisor, How would I want them to be? I'd want them to be patient, a good communicator, understanding, approachable. So, think about what you would like to see in a supervisor, and then assuming that's how you would be as a supervisor yourself. Tell me how you think other people will describe you. So I put patient, kind, and humble, easy to get along with, and able to take directions well. So just showing that I'm a team player. What can we expect from you in the first 3 months? So I put familiarizing myself with the software, hardware, and procedures currently used at this company, working diligently to become proficient at the essential functions of the job, and asking questions for anything I'm unsure about. So just shows your willingness to jump in head first and hit the ground running. Can you please elaborate on your project management experience? So this is going to be very individualized. So I just put oversaw software life development cycle, or operating my own business, was in charge of hiring developers, blah, 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 blah. So hopefully if this is a question that you guys are asked, that you have something to draw from. And if you don't have, this is another tip too, guys, if you don't have any experience in the field or the question that they're asking you about, try to find something that is related, because the worst thing that you could say is, oh, I don't know, I don't have any, or I don't know, I've never used that before. Try to tie it into something that you do know, because then at least you get some credit, because typically what they do is when they interview you, they're going to be rating you on each of these questions. So if you say, I don't know, or nothing, then obviously you're going to get a 0. But if you can try to tie it into something, maybe they ask you, do you have any experience with C++? You could say, no, I don't, but I am well-versed in Java and object-oriented programming. So see, just try to think of something on the spot that you can tie their question to. Do you have any professional social media experience? So, for me, I had a position where I managed the different social media accounts for my business. So I had years of doing that. Do you have any SQL experience? So I put on here the different SQL and database courses that I completed at that time. I also had a certification from SoloLearn, and yeah, I was working on a Udemy class at that point too. So this is, all different types of positions use SQL, so you'd have to probably read the description of the position that you're applying for to see if this might be relevant. Business processes and system analysis. So obviously this isn't a question, but they probably would ask you something along the lines of, do you have any experience in business processes and system analysis? And I put, while operating my business, I was challenged to find ways to improve my company's software to be able to provide better experience for the users. Through this process, I would brainstorm ideas or improvements I had for either the websites or the software platforms. And yeah, just kind of trying to draw from my experience when it came to these two topics, because I was asked this question, I think, more than once. Working in a call center. Yep. So I used to work for HBO Max. So I talked a little bit about my experience there. But you may not be asked this question. But what they may ask you, though, is, do you have any customer service experience? So hopefully, if you guys are applying for an IT position, you have some sort of customer service experience, because that is probably 80% of IT, I would say, is, you have to be good with people, because people are coming to you and they're frustrated because their computer isn't working. They're locked out of their accounts. You have to be able to talk to people, be friendly, relatable, and then, the technical know-how will come. But if you're not a people person, it's kind of a hard thing to adapt to. Detail your experience with computerized maintenance management systems, so asset tracking. So I talked about random stuff. Like, you would think, maybe this is like itemizing things in a IT warehouse, where you're logging computers. I didn't have experience with that at that time. So I talked about my experience in the Air Force, where we were tracking equipment and logging that into spreadsheets. And also when I worked as a security officer at a casino, we were moving company funds, things that aren't necessarily IT related, like table games and slot machines, but the concepts are the same. Excuse me. Detail your experience working with mini computers and mid-range computers. So I did not have hands-on experience with mini computers at that time, but I did learn about them when I was completing my CompTIA A+ certification. So just, if you guys it's kind of hard to, unless you purchase this or have had experience at one of your other positions. So this was actually detailed on the job descriptions for some of the positions I was applying for, and it was asked. So, maybe just if that is mentioned on the job description, watch some YouTube videos on it, do some research. So at least you have something to talk about if they ask you about it. Can you detail your experience working with the networking equipment? So I talked about HBO when I would help people troubleshoot their home network, checking their connection status. Sometimes people can connect to HBO, so we had to run things. I literally walk them how to check their connections to the HBO server through like command prompt at times. Like it was, you wouldn't think you'd have to do that, but that was something I had to do at points. I had to walk older folks to teach them how to reset their connections. So imagine trying to teach an 80-year-old person how to reset their modem and their router. It was very difficult, but these are all things that I was able to talk about for this question, even though it's not traditional networking experience. I guess it still was applicable in case I was asked this question. And there's a lot here, guys, so I'll probably break this up into multiple parts. We're only question 17 out of 52, so maybe we'll go to like 25. Can you detail your experience working with printers? So same thing here. I had an HP printer at home that did lots of different things, and I had to, change the ink on it, perform maintenance on it. But they may ask you questions about laser printers because a lot of large business offices use laser printers. So they're very expensive and they require some maintenance. Impact printers, thermal printers, you probably want to know the difference between these and some basic troubleshooting steps and how to operate them. So you can watch YouTube videos on that, look at tutorials, ask people that work there, ask them, do you guys use printers? What brand of printer do you guys use? Do you know, is it a laser printer? So you just have an idea in case they ask you about it. Can you detail your experience working with desktop publishing platforms? So I put on here, actually, I don't even remember. Desktop publishing, I don't even remember what that is, but I guess I put Adobe Spark and Photoshop. So while using these platforms, I would create artwork and thumbnails for social media, such as advertising banners and thumbnails for YouTube. Honestly, I don't remember what this was, but do your own research, but hopefully these things were relevant to this. Can you detail your experience working with Microsoft Office products? So on here, I talked about my experience with Microsoft products. I used it at pretty much all my jobs. I'm assuming most of you guys are familiar with Microsoft Word and Excel, hopefully PowerPoint as well. So yeah, just talk about, if you don't have any professional work experience, just talk about personal experience, either as a student or just as an end user. My dog is making a cameo. You guys are getting lucky. Every video I film now, she's barking. What would you do if a user is experiencing slow system performance? So these are some basic troubleshooting steps. So you would check the task manager for high CPU utilization and input-output. If this is the first time it has done this, you could just perform a restart of the computer, check for Windows updates, driver updates, check for available disk space, see if a defrag is necessary. If it's a laptop, basically see if the power saving mode is on the laptop, scan the computer with an antivirus. So these are some basic troubleshooting steps. The computer is having trouble connecting to the internet, so same thing. You just want to know some basic troubleshooting steps if they can't connect to the internet. So, you want to see, do they have a wireless status to see what it says? Or if they're hardwired, you want to see if maybe their cable is fallen off their computer. So check both ends, make sure the cable is connected on both sides. Would check the network from another device that is also connected to the same network. So maybe ask someone else who is connected to the same network, is it down for them? Check the IP address configuration, make sure receiving a DHCP address. And would ping the default gateway and external IP. So see if you can reach external IP addresses, and yeah, that's going out. The computer is not booting correctly, so would first read the error message that is occurring while the computer is booting up, because usually it'll tell you, or you'll hear beeps in a certain sequence, and that should tell you what's going on as well. If necessary, may not repair the operating system. May not repair the operating system. Maybe I put may need to repair the operating system. I think that's maybe what I meant to put there. Would check the boot drives and remove any media, as the BIOS may have a boot order. So if you have any external media plugged in, like flash drives, an external SD drive, and maybe trying to boot from that first, before it tries to print or boot up from your computer's internal drives. So, check your BIOS, things like that. Need to repair operating system. So you can disconnect removable media. If possible, would run a startup repair and see if this resolves the issue. If it doesn't, allow me to run startup repair, or this doesn't resolve the issue, I would reboot in safe mode, run a startup repair. If necessary, may not. Again, I'm not reading these back verbatim to people, so please forgive the error typos. But yeah, this is just giving you guys a general head start. Please do your own research for the steps that you would take if you were trying to resolve these issues. These are just kind of ones that I thought were good at the time. May not to remove new software that was just installed or rolling back driver updates. Computer boots up slow, so we'll check the startup apps that are set to boot. So you can do Control-Alt-Delete, and then from there you can go to Startup, and you can see all the apps that are set to start upon your computer booting up. So you can remove any that are not necessary. May have unnecessary software or files, so you can clear out unnecessary software and files, maybe running in the background. Clear up some space in your computer. Slow profile load, so the domain controller may be slow to apply the computer and user policies. So I notice that a lot when I log into my Air Force account. It's very, very slow to boot up. Takes forever. The workstation may be picking a remote domain as opposed to a domain controller. Yep. And also, if you say these things, they may ask you follow-ups. So if you're offering them as a suggestion, they may ask you a follow-up. Well, why would you choose that option? So don't just repeat these back verbatim. Like I said, make sure you understand what they do and why you were selecting that as one of your potential remedies to that issue. Okay, guys, we are almost 20 minutes in already, so there's no way I'm going to be making an hour-long video going through all these. So we will break this up into parts. So this is part 1. The next part, we will try to get through 26 to 52. Then I have a whole nother set of questions that were primarily programming / software developer based. So in case that's a position you guys are interested in, that video will be coming out very soon. But if you found this one to be helpful, please consider giving this video a like. Please also consider subscribing to the channel. Catch you all in the next one very soon.